So I know it's been 3 games. They play the Pacers again tonight, and the Celtics could have a convincing win and go to 2-2 and look good from then on. But at this moment, I am concerned with them, and I think the problems that they've shown through 3 games are going to be tough to overcome until they get somebody with the trade exception and also until Kemba comes back. And it's not a guarantee that either one of those things are going to happen like that. Kemba, when it's the knee can be tough, and he's had it for a while now. But anyway, they're like 15th in offensive rating. They're, I think, 27th in defensive rating, something like that. I'm going to start with the offense because I'm fearful that they could even dip a little lower than 15th. The first thing to talk about is Tatum. The shot against the Pacers, which was not a good shot. That's the thing that's been talked about a little bit. And I agree, but I think there's been other things to focus on with him, and it's mainly the lack of free throws. He is shooting 1 free throw a game in 3 games, and that's simply not going to work. I mean, his overall efficiency, even with the threes, has not been good. I mean, the guy finally attempted some free throws in the 3rd game of the season against the Pacers, and it's pretty simple as to why. It's basic math. Only 14% of Tatum's shots are coming at the basket right now. He is attempting so many floaters, or he's evading guys at the rim, or he's taking these mid-rangers, which, to be fair, the mid-rangers haven't been bad. He's in the 40s on those. He should still be like a little better for the amount that he attempts, but that's actually not the reason why his efficiency has been so bad. It's mainly he's doing an okay job of getting to the rim. It's not as good as it could be, but he's getting there, and then he's finding ways to either miss a layup or not get fouled. And it's not even the layups. It's more of like the floaters, offhanded scoop shot sort of things. Now, I think some of it is that the spacing has not been amazing for the Celtics so far. I mean, they're going with this Tristan Thompson, Daniel Tice front court at times, and I mean, Tice has been spotting up, but even so, it's not like teams are staying glued to Tice. When Grant Williams is in the game, a lot of the time he's chilling around the dunker spot, and you combine that with a center, it can get rough. I think Brad recognized that because against the Pacers, he pulled Grant for Pritchard, who's been pretty good as a rookie, just to get a little more shooting out there and clear the lane a little bit. But still, Tatum should not be having this much trouble getting fouled. He needs to be shooting a lot more free throws, because if he's not, then the chances of him being an efficient scorer are just so low. I mean, he would have to just be amazing at jumpers and floaters, and it's just too difficult to do that. As far as his plays, I mean, it's mainly been pick and roll and ISO, that sort of thing, and he should be able to handle that. So that's the first thing. He simply needs to get more trips to the free throw line. If I can think about the offense, I mean, to be honest, it's more so the defense. If you want to look at the advanced stats, like their defensive rating is terrible right now. But I do want to talk about the offense a little bit more, because I'm fearful that they could actually be one of the worst offensive teams in the league that just has managed to not be that so far. And part of it is the Tatum stuff, but another part of it is the roster without Kemba and Hayward there's just not a lot of talent here right now. I mean, Peyton Pritchard has become essential for them for spacing and ball handling, and once they start going into these lineups and it's Teague and Marcus Smart, who has improved, but his overall efficiency still is not very good. And, there's Tristan Thompson and Daniel Tice who are playing together, and it's Grant Williams and Semi Ojeleye. It's a bunch of guys the teams don't really have to worry about that much. And so I think, all right, so if Tatum fixes the free throw stuff, and if Stevens does his normal ball movement offense and all that nice stuff, and let's even say Daniel Tice is suddenly more of a three-point shooter, which he showed off against the Bucks game and since then hasn't really done. It's like, how good can this team really be on offense until Kemba Walker comes back? Should also be mentioned that Jalen has been hitting his mid-rangers at an insane rate to open up the season. He's shooting 64% on long twos and 75% from around 13 feet or whatever. Those are obviously not going to hold up, so that's not great. I think the only thing Brad has that he hasn't tried yet is just putting Nesmith in there, because outside of Tatum, he could be the best shooter on the team. For some reason, Brad doesn't trust him. Maybe he's not good on defense. I don't know. The other possibility is Robert Williams just creates enough spacing through being a force rolling to the basket. I don't know. I mean, I can be optimistic with some of these things, and I can think, well, I don't know, they can strive to be hopefully a mid-tier offense. If we talk about their defense now, so they finally had a good defensive performance against Indiana. That said, Oladipo was not playing. They had quite a few possessions where Brogdon was able to get a not too difficult three-pointer off of a screen or whatever. And this is honestly a little more shocking to me. I mean, maybe I should have started with this, but the Tatum thing is what I was thinking of immediately. Usually Brad Stevens is great at making it work with a roster that doesn't look so good on defense. I mean, the guy has made it work with Isaiah Thomas, Jared Sullinger, and whoever else. And currently the Celtics are 29th in defense. And you can do the whole thing about early in the season. Okay, yeah, fine, whatever. But it's like, this should be a good defensive team. That was my reason for not being too freaked out about Kemba being out, is I figured, okay, the offense is going to take a hit, but they're still going to be one of the best defenses in the league. So far, that has not been the case. Again, they did finally have a good defensive game against the Pacers. I think their defensive rating in that game was like 107, which would be like 5th last year in the regular season, so maybe that's a good sign, but I mean, there's just not a lot of resistance. I mean, you go look at Kyrie's 30-something he dropped against them. He's beating guys one-on-one. He's getting around screens without too much trouble. There was even a couple possessions where they dropped on him, which is like, what the hell is that? Besides that, they are towards the bottom of the league in defensive rebound percentage right now, so they're giving up some extra points there, or at least some extra possessions. And teams are also shooting 75% on them in the restricted area, which, as of right now, if you were on team trade for Miles Turner, after 3 games, you're looking pretty good. I mean, look, if I end up being wrong and they should have traded for Miles Turner, then I'll say it. Like, if their inside defense sucks this year and their rim protection's not good and they're getting killed on the offensive glass, then okay, I was wrong on the Miles Turner, or maybe they had an opportunity for him, maybe they didn't, I don't know. But we'll see. They routinely have been good at that stuff, even if they've never had the like huge center guy. Now, at the same time, they are giving up a good amount of mid-rangers, and teams are just making them right now. I mean, Kyrie and KD are definitely part of that. They're not giving up a lot of corner threes. They are allowing like 44% three-point shooting from above the break. And mathematically, I mean, teams have been good defensively while being a little more willing to give up that shot, assuming they lock down the basket. I mean, some of this is going to be a little whacked out because it's early on, but the common denominator that I'm seeing, besides them giving up some extra rebounds, is guys are just getting into their shots way too easy. I also think their transition defense has been kind of bad. From what I remember, the Bucks had quite a few transition buckets, and the Pacers did as well, so simply getting back on defense would be nice. And the numbers back that up. According to TeamRankings.com, the Celtics are giving up 19 fast break points a game so far, which is 29th in the league. The only team that's worse is the Warriors. And some of this also is that guys just need to defend better one-on-one. Brogdon had a number of baskets against them where he just beats Marcus Smart in a line drive, or Grant Williams, or whoever. So it just needs to be individually better, but also as a team. I mean, some of it is like some of these shot percentages will go down, but again, Jalen's is going to go down as well because he's not going to keep shooting 70% from mid-range, so they're going to have to make up for that sort of thing somewhere. Now, I'm trying to find an exact estimation on when Kemba could come back. The only thing I could find is early January. As of 7 days ago, it was still a long way away from returning. And without him, I don't know, man. This team basically has to be like 13th in offense and honestly maybe first in defense, which I still think they can do. I mean, they were first in defense when Horford was there. In the super disappointing season, they were still 7th. Last year, they were 4th. Now, with that said, if Kemba's not healthy, then they don't have a shot at the finals. I mean, I think if Kemba came back and he really was healthy, 100% Kemba Walker, Charlotte Hornets-esque Kemba, you know, with all of his herky-jerky movements and all that stuff, and Tatum figured out the free throw stuff, And Jalen, I mean, he's not going to be shooting 60% from mid-range. Maybe he's like shooting 47% from mid-range, And let's say if they got one good player with that trade exception, if you put all that together, I actually think they could have a shot at the finals. But at this point, the Kemba thing is super up in the air. I feel like they really want to use the trade exception next offseason, which you could argue in the big picture is probably the best time to use it because you got a little bit more money and, the league is in flux. You might be able to get a better player. And Tatum isn't shooting free throws at all. So, quite a few things need to flip pretty fast. If I look at their upcoming schedule, so they've got the Pacers today. They have the Grizzlies, which has suddenly become an easier game because Ja Morant is hurt, and luckily it wasn't as bad as it looked. It's an ankle sprain. He'll probably still be out for a couple weeks. They already don't have Jaren Jackson. The Celtics should win that game. They then get the Pistons twice in a row. They should win both of those. Then it's the Raptors and the Heat. We'll see. Wizards, Heat again. Bulls, they have to win that game. The Magic are back-to-back. They'll probably split those because Orlando is, not horrible as they are every season. So we'll see. It's not a super easy schedule. It's not super difficult. They should get some wins out of that. But the two main things right now, the defense just simply has to be better. I don't even think it's a scheme thing. I think it's a matter of just can you please do a better job of staying in front of people? And Tatum's just got to be way more aggressive and look to draw contact. And the other question is this Daniel Tice, Tristan Thompson frontcourt. Can this work? Can they play together? Brad certainly wants to try it out. We'll see how long he wants to stick with it. And the one last thing would be, do they have to go to Nesmith a little faster than Stevens perhaps wants to because they're just desperate for another dude who can space the floor out and stuff like that. And I'll say this again, I did the ad read for it. It's not going to be as fluid on this one, but you can join the Flick group. It's in the description, and it's a cool app that lets you bet on games and get some money. And also, it's like a social thing, and there's live chats for games and all that. And it's kind of like Discord for this specific niche, I guess. I'm in there, so there's that. I didn't do the paid promotion thing for it, so I'll just say they're paying me. I figure it makes sense to be transparent about that one. I think it's cool. So if you want to join that, that's in the description, and yeah.